yeah, I'm based in Chicago, Illinois, and I attended the University of Michigan where I got my bachelor's, and then I went to Columbia, New York, where I got my master's in nonprofit administration. And so that's how I ended up here. Once again, welcome to the program, and I hope, as Linda said, you make the most of this, and that you always feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help you make the most of this and make this an experience that enhances your career and your life and your academics. And with that, I will hand it back to Linda.
Great, thanks, Allie. I want to just go into a little bit about who you are. We have a lot of attendees today, and I didn't mention this before, but we've also recorded this session that you can refer back to later on. We hope that you can use this as a tool as you start this journey. So who is here? Who's this group? So we have 48 female university and graduate students in Taiwan, India, and South Korea. And in this group of scholars, we also represent 23 fabulous global universities. You all, like I mentioned before, are part of now a bigger network. So the WeTech Qualcomm Global Scholars Network. We, like I mentioned before, are building networks to offer professional opportunities to help women and girls enter and succeed in technology fields. And I want you to really understand what this means. Being part of this global network means that you have this connection for life. You, as a mentor, hopefully will walk out of this really wanting to contribute not only to this program, but to similar programs in the future, to reach out to universities to help women in STEM. I really applaud your commitment to our efforts. And as scholars, I want you to know that we're all here for you and your success. We've built out a curriculum that we hope you'll use as a model to ask questions of your mentee as you explore your future possibilities. We'll go into this a lot more, but I really want you to take advantage of the time that you have with your mentor and really think about your goals. You're one of many in this network, and I think a lot of you probably have similar either worries in your studies or questions that you have in your own fields of study in your future professional lives. And I really want you to harness that now to really understand what those questions are that you could ask of a mentor that you feel like will help you in next steps. So within this network, Allie and I have heard every question, and we're here to help you too. And we really encourage you to think about this network and how you want to make it most useful for you in your future. So we have 20 scholarship recipients from India, 16 from Taiwan, and 12 from South Korea. And this is a one-on-one mentorship. So what this means is we have 20 mentors from India, 16 from Taiwan, and 12 from South Korea. And again, I want you to understand that this is part of a larger network. So those of you that are in these 3 countries, you might interact more with those from within your own country, but we are going to create opportunities throughout this experience together to connect with one another. So you not only have each other within your own country group, but you have the whole network. And I really want you to know how much support that you have. So no question is a silly one. Any mentors that if you have any hurdles as we go along and have any questions, I'm here for you too. And we can really use the power of our network to make this the best experience possible. So who are our mentors? They're both female and male Qualcomm employees volunteering their time from their offices in India, Taiwan, and South Korea. I've seen a lot of you have started to use the Cronus platform and started to explore once we created these matches last week. But in the coming days, make sure that your profile is as complete as possible. Please put in a picture of yourself. I think it's great to familiarize yourself with the other faces of both the scholars and the mentors. And I encourage you to read each other's profiles. Reach out to one another using the platform once you have explored it a little bit. So let me know if you have any questions about that. I think creating a profile is something that I think everyone has done at this point, but put in as much information as you feel would be useful to introduce yourself to the group. Allie, we're going to talk about a little bit more about your scholarship. Allie, I know that I have control over the slides, so let me know when you want me to skip ahead, but I'm going to go to the next one if that's okay.
Sure.
Great.
Okay. So before I talk about your scholarship, I would just like to thank all of the students, all of our scholars, for being so responsive and proactive in submitting all of your documentation. Almost all of you are all set, and also creating your profiles on time in Cronus. That just has really helped start the program smoothly, and it set a really nice tone going forward. So thank you all. But at this time, yes, I would like to talk a little bit more about the 5 components of your scholarship. So all of these scholars were laid out in your award letter that you signed and submitted to me. But we'll start with number 1. So number 1 is a scholarship that you receive to assist with your expenses during this spring or this fall. And that scholarship will be dispersed to you in 2 installments, which I will explain in the next slide. The program also consists of a one-on-one mentorship, and this you'll be placed with a Qualcomm professional, as Linda explained. You all were matched with your mentor and mentee over the past 2 weeks, and hopefully you've had a chance to introduce yourselves to each other via Cronus. The third component is the online mentorship platform, Cronus. And I hope you've also had a chance not only to introduce yourself to your mentor or mentee, but also to click around Cronus. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we will go over the platform in a little more depth in a few minutes, okay? Kind of the fourth component is that you must complete your entire mentorship placement in order to receive your second scholarship payment. So you will check off a series of tasks, as you might have seen already in Cronus, and these will complete the development milestones. And at the end of your mentorship in July, I will need to see that all of these tasks have been checked off as complete in order to send your second scholarship payment. So this is very important. And I will be here to guide you and remind you. You'll receive several reminders from me throughout the next several months to just a gentle, friendly reminder to keep checking off your tasks so that we can see your mentorship progress. And this, I think only a couple of these tasks are to be checked off by mentors, mentees, or scholars. This is mostly your responsibility to make sure that we can see that your mentorship is being completed. And then finally, you're required to submit at least 1 blog post about your mentorship experience. So this will be due at the end of the mentorship in July. And this will be very brief. It's 250 to 500 words, and we're just asking you to highlight what you've learned and how your participation in this program will impact your educational and career plans going forward. And if you have more questions about this, I'm happy to answer them. I guess next slide, Linda. So, as I mentioned before, your scholarship will be sent to you in 2 disbursements. I will be sending the first disbursement to you in the next 2 weeks. So by the middle of March, you should have received the first payment, which is half of your scholarship. And then the second disbursement will be sent to you upon successful completion of your mentorship program. And this will be at the end of July or early August of 2018. And just on this note of dispersing your scholarships, if you we send your scholarship via a wire transfer directly to your bank account. And this is a friendly reminder that if you have not sent me your completed wire transfer form yet, please do so as soon as you can, because I want to send you your first scholarship payment. So use of your scholarship funds. These are to be used towards tuition, room and board, books, and other expenses related to supporting yourself during the academic school year, so this spring or next fall. And we will also be requesting, I will be requesting proof of how your scholarship funds have been spent before we send your second scholarship payment to you. So this might include a tuition receipt, a receipt for books, a receipt for room and board, a receipt for school supplies. So just as a note, I would keep your receipts for the payments that you make with your scholarship money, so that you can send those to me as proof of how you've spent the funds. Next slide, Linda. So in terms of the mentorship, you might be curious about why we ask you to participate in the one-on-one mentorship program. And Linda has spoken a little more at length about this, but we ask you to participate in this portion of the program because all of you scholars have been identified as high achieving and high potential women in the technology field. And we want you to have access to these great role models at Qualcomm and who are very successful individuals in the technology field. So each one of you has been matched with an individual mentor who aligns with your interests and expectations in this program. And we really did take all what you've told us into account. Linda was very vigilant about this when we matched you with your mentor. And we hope you take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions and explore the many opportunities that are open to you in this field, and to just always remember throughout the program that your mentor is here to help you, to guide you, and to really open your eyes to all the opportunities and the career path that you can take in the technology field. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Linda, and she's going to review more of the mentorship timeline and the expectations and elaborate a little more on the milestones and tasks that you will have to complete.
Thanks, Allie. All right, so like Allie mentioned, I'd like to go through your timeline and some of the expectations. Just so you know, right after that, we'll go into a lot more detail about the curriculum. One thing that, before I move ahead, Allie did mention that it will be the scholars' opportunity to tick off all of our curriculum tasks. I just want to remind you all, this is very fresh in my mind. I came back from an event with lots of mentors and was reminded of how busy mentors can be in their professional lives. And we understand that. And we'll go into some tips about how to be successful to schedule time with your mentor. But something to just keep in mind, scholars that are on the line, these are busy professionals that are volunteering their time, and we love that they're so dedicated, but definitely keep that in mind. They're not always available to you, and you'll be scheduling time with them to make sure that you get through all of your requirements and through the curriculum of this mentorship program. They're definitely here to help, but aren't available all the time. Okay, a little bit more about our timeline. So we're kicking off the program today. Hopefully you all will be exploring Cronus in the next couple days as it all feels fresh, and starting your mentorship. So I'll go into the curriculum in more detail, but overall what we're asking of each scholar and mentor is about 4 hours of your time every month. So for some of you, that might mean it's an hour every week. For some of you, you might do it a little bit more condensed over, revisit tasks that you have every couple weeks. But a successful mentorship, we feel that this is 4 hours of your time either prepping for a call. For mentors, this means you might be preparing some resources to share with the scholar, or for scholars, it might be completing some of the worksheets that we've developed on Cronus. But we expect that it's about 4 hours to have a successful mentorship. So some expectations. We expect that you communicate regularly, appropriately, and privately with your mentor or mentee. We want you, this is very important, to respect your meeting time and schedules. We've found that the most successful mentorship relationships are those that really stick to the timeline that they've been given and to the set meeting times that you give each other. So as you explore each other's schedules in the coming weeks, for scholars, this means really looking ahead to some projects and to your classes to really understand when is the best time to regularly meet. And for mentors, this might be looking ahead to conferences that might be coming up, some big meetings that might be coming up, some projects, and really trying to identify a regular meeting time that will work in the long term over this several month mentorship. We want you to use the online mentorship platform Cronus to communicate to each other and to complete your tasks. This is a 6-module program, and I'll go into this in a lot more detail, but we really want you to keep the dedication of your time strong throughout the whole process. Not one is more important than another task. So to really keep your energy levels high and really commit to each other to get through this all. And we want you to clearly identify and refine your career goals. And this isn't only for our scholars on the program. Mentors, you're going to get so much out of this too. Not only do you get a glimpse into the new generation of successful STEM professionals, but I find that the reflection that you have into your own success stories, and just the heartwarming experience of being able to share your own skill sets and your own advice to the scholars is really rewarding. And I'm sure you have your own goals and training and coaching, and to really reflect on that early. We want both the scholars and the mentors to complete all program surveys on time. We are surveying you in 3 different times during your mentorship program, once at the beginning, once in the middle, and once at the end. And this is a great tool for us to understand what some of your goals are, to make sure that we're providing the resources to make sure that you meet those goals. Another thing that we'd really like for you to do and expect of all of our participants in this program is to bring any issues that you have to either myself or to Allie. I don't think I clearly said this before, but again, my name is Linda Miles, and I'm the first point of contact for all the mentors, and Allie is that for the scholars. And we're very dedicated to your success and really want to hear from you. So next I'm going to go into our curriculum. Again, I mentioned that this is a 6-module mentorship. And we've built this out hopefully to naturally progress through a lot of the conversations that we feel that rising professionals need, as you know, the women scholars are thinking about moving into the next steps in their careers. So I'll go into each one of these in a lot more detail, but we start initially with really setting some clear goals. In the middle, we'll go into some skills that we feel that a lot of rising professionals will need, such as building your resume and networking and making sure that you have the resources that you need to build out a successful CV. And then towards the end, we'll develop some leadership skills and hopefully open up enough time for you all to think about what's next and to think about your goals and if they were met at the end. So your first mentorship milestone is really all about building a relationship with each other and establishing goals. This is critical. So I know scholars, as you received this very prestigious scholarship, you probably went into this not really knowing what you really want to get out of this relationship with a Qualcomm professional and your mentor. Hopefully you've had some time to think about that and make some lists. Mentors, this could be your first mentorship experience, and that can be really intimidating. So I want everyone at the end of today, while it's fresh, to jot down some ideas that you have of your own, either professional or um, your own private goals that you have out of this. Maybe you feel like you're not a great storyteller mentor, so this is a really good time to showcase your story to the scholar that you're working with as an example. And scholars, this could be a really great opportunity to understand someone else's success stories and how you might be able to mimic that. We also have a lot of resources that we've built out, especially as you begin this relationship, and we want you to look at all of those worksheets that we've written. We have a lot of mentoring tips that we've published for you. We've put together resources for goal setting. Mentees, you're going to take a self-assessment. And again, it's so important to establish regular meetings as you work towards these goals. So milestone number 2 will be all about assessing your own strengths. So for mentees, this means you'll be taking the Strengths Finder test. Allie, do you know how long this takes each mentee usually? I feel like it's pretty comprehensive.
It's not extremely long. I would say maybe half an hour. It's not a huge time commitment.
So what the mentees will do is you'll take the Strength Finders test, and we always see that it's pretty surprising. For example, I took mine and didn't know, you don't often see a lot of things of yourself in your everyday, and I didn't know that one of my strengths was a leadership skill that I didn't know that I had. And sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice a little bit. But we always find that mentees are surprised by some of their results, and then we'll want you to talk through that with your mentor to get to know them a little bit more and how you can use some of those strengths that you find either in school or as you think ahead to your professional lives. Your next milestone will be all about career planning, which is always really exciting. So we use the DOTS career planning model as you do this, and you'll see a lot more resources on this in Cronus, and you can look ahead. I don't encourage you to do too much ahead. I want you to follow all the steps, but you'll do a career planning worksheet as well. And with each one of these milestones, we really encourage both the mentor and the mentee to think about and reflect on what this means for your future. And for the mentor, I want you to reflect on what was this like for you as you were in school? What did you do as you planned your own career? How did you get to where you are? And what advice outside of these worksheets and resources can you give your scholar? The next milestone is all about building your CV and strengthening your interview skills. So we'll have exercises in Cronus. We'll have another exercise, both one for CV review and another exercise for your cover letter. We're also going to ask you to go through interview skills exercises. And this is where it's really important to practice a lot of these things over the phone with your mentor. The next milestone is all about networking and enhancing your technical skills. So this might be doing some informal interviewing with your mentor, with some peers, building technical skills, seeing what technical skills you might need for your future career choices. And we'll go through some networking tips as well. And then finally, your next milestone will be on leadership development and coming up with a plan and assessing some of your leadership development as well. In addition to your milestones, we'll have several enrichment webinars. And we haven't set them completely yet because we want to hear from you and what you need. So some examples would include personal branding. Maybe we could create a webinar on networking or interview skills. I'll really leverage both the Qualcomm network and my own mentorship network to create catered webinars to what the scholars need. So this is a great opportunity for scholars to really get together and hear from one another and build on skills that you feel would be most useful. And Allie and I will work with you to make sure that we meet at least twice for enrichment webinars. And we really want to cater this to your own needs. So we'll have more on that later. Allie, I'm losing my voice. Do you mind reading some of these best practices?
Sure. So we just wanted to take this time to remind you of some best practices that'll help make your mentoring experience probably the best that it can be and the most efficient. So one thing is active listening, making sure that we're not just thinking about what we want to say next, but really listening to each other and taking that into account in our interactions. Definitely avoid scheduling things when you can't devote your full attention. As Linda said, we know that everyone has a busy schedule, but just making sure that we take the time to schedule our mentorship meetings at a time where we can really focus and we're not doing other work or doing other schoolwork will definitely help the mentor and the scholar get the most out of experience. We hope that you give and receive honest feedback to each other and that you're patient with each other. I think patience probably goes a long way. And one of the first things that you'll do in this experience is setting clear goals, expectations, and ground rules. You'll do this, you'll see, as one of your very first tasks and the first milestone. And this is so key to laying the best foundation for the mentorship experience going forward. So we hope you all take the time to really think about your goals and your expectations of each other and communicate those things to each other. Really think about what you want your mentorship experience to be and what you don't want it to be, and definitely taking steps to achieve those things and communicating those things to each other. And we hope that you schedule your meetings in advance and agree upon an agenda or a purpose of the meeting. I don't think you want to go into meetings aimlessly. I think both the mentor and the scholar get the most out of their meetings when you have a purpose, when you have a goal, and you have a reason for being there. And I think that will definitely help each person feel like their time was well spent and that they're moving forward with each meeting.
Great, thanks, Allie. Yeah, one thing that we never want to have happen is for you to waste each other's time. You're very busy. I saw that we got a couple questions, and these are from a mentor. One was, will the mentors be able to take a Strengths Finders test? Great question. I wish that we had the ability to have everyone take one. Unfortunately, it's just for the scholars. But there are a lot of free similar resources online. And if you email me later, I can definitely help you find one if you're interested. I know that we all need refreshers, and sometimes these things change throughout our careers. I know that my own strengths will change depending on what I'm practicing in the workplace. We will provide the slides to all of you in Cronus. It will add them to the resources page, as well as the webinar recording, so you can reflect back on this. And what was another question? Oh, we will provide networking tips for everyone, And this includes for mentors. So for the mentors that will be going to conferences or have networking opportunities yourself, of course, these are best practices for everyone. And we're all not perfect at it, and we all are still working on it. So these resources are definitely for all to see. Okay. So there's different means to communicate also during your mentorship experience. We understand that everyone's schedules are different and what you have available to you are different as well. In addition to using Cronus, which we very much want you to use to communicate to each other, you can also use personal emails as needed. You can use the Google Chat or other chat platforms. Just calling each other on the phone is fine. I personally enjoy Skype with video and find that really easy to use when communicating with others. Allie and I use Skype all the time for video. But it really depends on what each mentor and mentee are most comfortable with. You can experiment with all of them. Like we said, it's great if you can be consistent in your meeting times, but it doesn't have to be consistently on the same platform. So whatever it is that you feel works best for you, you want to make sure that, especially scholars, that you're flexible with the mentors and what their preferences as well. And communicate as regularly as possible, but I wouldn't overdo it either. I know you all are so curious about each other's lives. Try to stick to your schedule. I know, Allie, we've probably heard from scholars before that they're emailing their mentor with all of these questions. They don't hear back from them. It's probably because you're emailing them too much. So hold back some of your questions and save them for your phone conversations later. And then Allie is going to talk a little bit more about your Cronus platform.
So I just wanted to quickly review Cronus for a few minutes and the pages that you will be most familiar with on Cronus. I hope that you've all had a little bit of a chance to explore the platform already. And you probably are familiar when you click on your mentoring connection from your home page. This is the screen that you see. So you see that there are three main tabs: the plan, messages, and meetings. And you'll see that there are the 6 milestones listed below, and then also the introduction milestone. And each of these milestones, when you click the drop-down arrow, it expands to show all the tasks that have to be completed within that milestone. So these are the tasks that we keep saying that you have to check off. So scholars, this is mostly your responsibility, and you can see the little check boxes there on the left, and that's how we will keep up with your mentorship progress. If you can go to the next slide, Linda. So I also mentioned that there is the messaging feature of Cronus. You can message your mentor or your mentee directly through Cronus, and we'd love if you do that so we can see and be aware of the contact that you are having. You can also schedule meetings. There's a meeting feature, and you will actually definitely schedule your first meeting on Cronus so that we can see that you've done this and it's checked off in the platform. But you don't have to feel pressured to only schedule meetings on Cronus. As Linda mentioned, there are several modes of communication. You're welcome to Skype, FaceTime each other, email, text, call, whatever you need to do, whatever works for you as a pair. We encourage you to make the most of that and figure out how you're going to communicate. But I definitely encourage you to outline acceptable forms of communication for each of you in your goal setting and expectations task, just so each of you are aware of how often you'll be communicating and how you'll be communicating. So as I noted, each milestone expands to show the tasks that you have to check off. On the right there, you can see those are the due dates that you need to check off your tasks. And on the left is a little checkbox where you check them off. And so you see this, we've shown how the milestone 1 is also expanded, and each milestone looks like this. And when you click on a task, the directions for completing it are a little more fleshed out. Those appear on the right side of the screen. So you can see I highlighted one of the tasks that I had clicked on, and on the right, it's more direction and explanation of what you're supposed to get out of this task and how to complete it. So if you click on a task and it opens up on the right, sometimes there will be a link to a supplemental document. Sometimes there will be a link, for example, to the Strengths Finder test. So definitely pay attention, read closely, and make sure you are covering all of your bases when you're completing your tasks. And just to remind you, will need to see that you have completed all of your tasks, that every single one is checked off, which you've completed the entire mentorship curriculum. I will need to see all of this checked off in order to get your second scholarship in July or early August. If you want to go to the next slide, Linda.
Allie, we had a question from the group that I think would be appropriate to answer right now. So are the dates next to the task the due date for them to be completed?
Yes. So if it's next to the task, that means it needs to be done. So you can see that your first tasks need to be completed by next Friday. Oh wait, this Friday, March 9th. And yes, so you will need to complete the task by the date that we have set on the right.
And I'm going to ask a follow-up question because I know that we always get this. Are those hard deadlines? What happens if they miss them?
They are hard deadlines. We really want you to complete them by this time. But if for some reason you get a little bit behind, we obviously will work with you and be flexible. I will probably check in with you. But certainly, this is to help you stay on track over the next few months. But the most important thing is that they are all checked off by the end of the mentorship program.
Great.
So one more thing I wanted to point out before we kind of wrap up is that there is a resources section of your Cronus platform. It's from the main page. It's on the left menu. You can see I highlighted resources. And this is where you can find, like I mentioned, there might be links or documents when you open a task. And almost all of those things can also be found here. So you can see we have a document archive at the top of the page here. That is almost all of the documents that you will be downloading in your tasks as you go through the months and the milestones. So if for some reason you're having trouble or difficulty downloading something or opening something from a task, I would definitely check the resources page and see if you can open it there. Because we've had a few issues with that in the past. But there's also, this is where we would also post our webinar recordings after we've completed them. It's where, this is where you would find those networking resources. So I would definitely take the time to explore this section of the platform. Okay. So I also just wanted to mention quickly that there is a Cronus app that you can download to your phone versus always using the desktop version. So this is convenient. You can use Cronus on the go, but just to make you all aware, the app does not have quite the full capability that the desktop version of the platform has. It's good for keeping track of your tasks, maybe checking in with your mentor, maybe checking due dates of milestones and tasks. But for downloading documents, opening links, and viewing the directions for tasks, I would definitely encourage you to use the desktop version. And also just, this has definitely been an issue we've had in the past, is if you're trying to open a document on your phone, a lot of times that just doesn't work for some reason, and we've definitely referred students to use the desktop version, and that they're usually able to pull up a document there. So just be aware of the little quirks of the app.
Great. We have one question from the group. If they have urgent projects that need to be completed during scheduled times where they also have tasks due, is it possible to postpone their tasks?
Sure. I would just reach out to me if you're a scholar, or Linda if you're a mentor, and we'll work with you, and we can kind of plan accordingly and see if we can work around. Well, we can definitely work around your work and school projects.
Right. I totally agree. Like, life happens, work or school, and we're here to help facilitate to make sure that you get the most out of the program and are able to finish the curriculum in time, and we'll work with everyone individually on that. Allie, we also had a question a little bit earlier on, but I feel like it might be appropriate to answer. Is there a code of conduct for scholarship awardees?
So there's not exactly a code of conduct, but we do expect you to follow all of the terms and conditions that you agreed to when you signed your award letter. We expect you to fulfill all of the requirements of the scholarship, and we do expect you, to behave professionally and to present yourself well to your mentor. This is definitely for your benefit, and I think it's only for your benefit to behave in a professional manner, to be timely and respectful of your mentor's time and all the effort that they're putting into this program as well. So I guess there's not a specific code of conduct, but it's to your benefit to behave well and to behave professionally.
If a mentor were to do that, I would say the exact same thing, that we expect that mentors respect our scholars' time and put as much effort into it as they can. There are so many rewards for mentors as well by participating in this program, and I want to have private conversations with any of you that feel like you are struggling to keep up with tasks and aren't able to make yourself available. We really want to support you in whichever way possible. We also got another question. Let me see. When would the strengths test be taken? This is in your second module. So what you'll do after this is you'll look into the Cronus platform and see your due date. And that is a personalized link that Allie will prepare for all of you that you'll get. Will mentors get any certificate on successful completion? I think that depends on your global offices. A lot of times at the end of each program, global offices may put together a kind of ending ceremony. I would work with the leaders from your own group to see if that's something that they're planning on. We're about at the end, but we don't have to finish. I love all the questions. Let's just go to the next slide, Allie, and then we'll let everyone type out any other questions that they might have or raise their hand. So why don't you go ahead?
So just to recap everything we've covered this in the past hour and just the important next steps that you'll be taking. This is the exciting part. We want you to connect with your mentor or mentee, set those expectations, set those goals, and plan your regular meetings. These are a few of your very first tasks in Cronus, and this is really exciting. You get to connect with each other and really start off your mentorship on the right foot. I encourage all of you to review the first tasks in the introduction milestone in Cronus and then complete these as assigned. One of the first things you'll do is to review and submit your mentorship partnership agreement, and you'll email that with both of your signatures directly to WeTech Qualcomm. You will work on goal setting with your mentor, mentee, and then lastly, and one of the most important things is always feel free to reach out to us with any questions or concerns. We're happy to answer them, and if tonight we don't have time to answer all your questions, we will certainly follow up and make sure that you feel like you know how to start, where you're going, and the best ways to start this program.
Thanks, Allie.
And,
just to reiterate what we've been saying, but step one really is exploring Cronus. I'm sure a lot of you have questions just as we've gone over this in full briefly, but there's so many more details in there. As Allie went through, you can click through and see an explanation with a lot more detail. And mentors and mentees, as you click in and as you log into Cronus, you're going to see slightly different things. So scholars, mentees, you will see a lot of tasks that you'll need to click to show your completion. Mentors, you're going to see resources to help mentees through their progress. And you won't have all of those deadlines listed. You'll have some of them, but you'll be working together with your mentee to do all of that. I'm going to look through some of the questions that we've received. I want to make sure, I know that everyone was expecting the orientation to be about an hour long, so to be mindful of everyone's time, we're going to just answer the most important ones. I know everyone has their work days to go on to, so let me read through. And Allie, if you see any that you feel like you want to answer as well.
There's
Okay, I see a good one. So this is very relevant to their first task. So as a mentor and a mentee, they might be far away from each other. How do they fill and sign the agreement? Do both need to submit it separately? Allie, how have you found that mentors and mentees have tackled that?
You only have to submit one document per pair, so you don't have to physically sign it. You can type it out and email back and forth to each other, and then only one of you has to submit it to me. So it can come from either the mentor or the mentee, as long as it has both signatures.
Great. And then one other question that we received is actually just what we were about to announce. So what's the best way to contact both of us? Is it email, send a message to the administrator in Cronus? I'd say definitely use the Cronus app. We love to see that you're using it. But you can alternatively send an email to WeTech Qualcomm at iie.org. This is where a lot of you would have already received some messages from us. And Allie and I filtered through both of them to determine if we're working primarily with a scholar or a mentor, and you'll likely see as we respond that we sign with our name in the WeTech team. So we work really closely together to make sure that everyone's questions get answered appropriately. Thanks for your question.
And I guess a couple people asked in a few different ways. We will be posting these slides as well as the recording of this webinar in Cronus in the resources section. So you're welcome to reference the slideshow or listen to the orientation at your convenience.
Great. Let's give everyone just 2 more minutes to type out any questions or raise your hand, and then we'll let everyone go on with their day. We understand that it's tomorrow for all of you. It is Monday evening for us. And I wanted to go ahead and apologize that my voice isn't as clear as it usually is. For some reason, I got a dry throat during the presentation. I'm sorry for that. Allie, do you have any questions that you feel like you usually hear in the first weeks of a program that you feel would be useful to go over right now?
I think that we covered almost everything.
Great.
Just, I guess, in terms of your blog post, I usually get questions about that. I will be sending more explicit directions about that closer to when it's due in July. And And then also, if you have any questions about what kind of documentation or proof of your scholarship fund use, I gave you some examples, but if you need a little more clarity on that, that's definitely one of the most popular questions that I get. I'm definitely happy to provide any clarity on that too.
All right, I see that we haven't gotten any new questions. So just in closing, I just really appreciate everyone's time. I want to congratulate the scholars yet again for being part of this experience and thank all of the mentors in advance for your commitment to women in STEM and education. We're going to do some great things in the next coming months. I really look forward to hearing from all of you. Allie and I are hopefully wonderful resources for you, as you will also be great resources for one another, and we'll have lots of opportunities to connect. But we, again, really appreciate your time and hope that you have found this orientation useful, and please be in touch with any questions. And we're really looking forward to hearing from you all as you kick off your mentorship. So with that, we'll close. Allie, any last remarks?
Thank you everyone for attending tonight. And if you have any questions, please feel free to follow up with us. And we'll probably be sending a follow-up email or message to you all as well.
Great. With that, we'll say bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.